can be difficult. Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hello, and thank you for purchasing the EasyVac 7, a wonderful invention by Scabco. Just plug it in, boot it up, and get your vaccination right at home for only 9 payments of $9.99.
Don't listen to this idiot. Get your vaccine free and easy at your local clinic. Herd immunity is our best chance of beating this pandemic. #ProtectYourHerd. Brought to you by McGissey Communications and Minnesota Department of Health.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies overnight with a low around 3, Thursday sunny with a high near 24, and Friday partly cloudy with a high around 16. Crooners Supper Club is back after an exciting winter renovation. The freshly renovated Crooners includes a new dining room, a new bar called Maggie's Lounge, and expanded main stage seating. Crooners Supper Club is located on Moore Lake off 694 and Highway 65. More at croonersmn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, any cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi, to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions, you are listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. And we talk about local and national Native news and events, Wendy.
That's right. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Native Roots Trading Post. We're having our grand reopening on Tuesday, March 15th, and we're located at 700 Nicollet Avenue, right inside the Dayton's building on the first floor.
We're really pleased to have the president of the Stockbridge Munsee Band of Mohican Native president here, Shannon, is going to come on with us for a couple segments, and we're really going to talk about some things that have to do with everybody all over Turtle Island and especially Wisconsin. And then, of course, we have Bob Blake with Solar Bear bringing us the solar news and all the great things that he brings to our show, telling us what's happening and what to look for in the future. But first, I want to jump in real quick with an update with Gina Peltire of Honor the Earth. And Gina, can you give us a quick update of what happened last night in your action?
Yeah, I'd love to. Wendy and Robert, thank you for having me on. So last night we had a meeting. It was a city town meeting in Cohasset, Minnesota, regarding the Hubert project. a company, a $1 billion company out of North Carolina, wants to put a lumber mill outside of the city of Cohasset. And there's a lot of dangers that come along with this lumber mill. So it's going to be outside the city of Cohasset. And the city of Cohasset was deemed the responsible government unit who made the decision on accepting this project last night. So we showed up because the city of Cohasset said that they were going to allow public opinion, public testimony, people to go ahead and make a 3-minute speech on if they approve or if they were for the project or against the project. So we all showed up ready to make our statements, and they announced in that meeting that they were not going to allow public comment. And then they went forward with approving of the project.
Oh boy,
That's really sad.
I know.
So now that means the construction will start within the next couple of months.
Well, we need to be kept informed as much as you possibly have the capacity to do on updates with that, and because we need to ignite our base again and come up there and tell them, first, you haven't talked to our native tribes up there, and second of all, you are coming through the back door of like one of the most pristine areas in the world. I mean, when you talk about the Christians talk about the Garden of Eden, we talk about the United States and the Turtle Island and also northern Minnesota. So this is really, thank you so much for the update. And this is just really heart-wrenching. Can you give up a couple websites so people can jump on and stay in tune with this, Gina?
Yes, protectmnforest.org. That's a great website to go to. We also are still taking testimony on that website. So if you want to submit some testimony, that will be delivered to Governor Walz.
Perfect. Peony Gigi, thank you so much for coming on and giving us that quick update. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
We'll see you.
You too. Wow, that's really sad.
I know.
This is how they sneak things right under the carpet. They'd think that people aren't watching and paying attention. And when people are, they knew, that people were going to give good testimony on why this should not happen. And they decided not to hear any testimony.
Wow.
Typical.
That's really sad. Really
typical.
sad. Well, hey, we got our main guest on here now, Shannon. And Shannon, thank you so much for stopping in again. Rave reviews of you last time you were on your show, so I begged you to come on our show again. So I appreciate it. We cover Milwaukee, Madison, and Chicago, and of course the Twin Cities. So it's great to have another voice out there telling us what's happening in your neck of the woods and what's going on in Turtle Island and with your tribe specifically too. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Wendy and Robert. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I know we got to. I really don't work that hard on this show, as Wendy can us to. So what's exciting is our guests really drive the show, and so this being your second time on, I'd really like you to talk about what you'd like to talk about, and then we can ask you a few questions. But I know there's a few things that are on your mind, and if you don't mind talking about those.
Oh, not at all. Well, thank you. And thank you for allowing me just to share some space with you this evening. The previous young lady talking about the need for consultation as it relates to the protections and oversight in this climate justice. And as you both well are aware, that this is something that Indigenous communities have always done. It's not anything new. This is just a new hashtag of, climate justice, much like I talked about in the State of the Tribes Address with the state Wisconsin legislature about the rights of nature. It goes back to that. It goes back to fundamental things about rights of nature. Water is life. Our four-legged and our winged animals, they all serve purpose in our cycle of life. And so they need protections as well, because you see the erosion of Mother Earth and its effects. And people don't think climate change is real until you live on a coastal place and parts of your ceded territory are starting to fall off in the ocean, or there's permafrost, or there's other things that we really have to really pay critical attention to. And it's not just right now. It's the next coming of generations that we have to not only educate the significance of, but we need to enlist everybody, because the protection of Mother Earth is everyone's job. And so that's critically important, in my opinion. And I think we need to take it a step further, so as people succeed us and carry that torch and continue to steward Mother Earth, that there's foundational things. And also from a policy perspective, just like it should be a human right to expect clean water, clean air to breathe, nutritious food to consume, and that takes stewarding, and it takes plans, and it takes everyone. So that is critically important. So it does matter when you have these these types of situations where people are trying to develop. And that's why consultation, especially with the United States trustee, which is Indigenous communities, is so critical. But it's not just us. It also requires us to enlist our allies and to have them support it, because it's as much for us in our Indigenous communities as it is for the world. So it's critically important. And of course, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to jump in, and we got a minute and a half of this segment left. And what I wanted to jump in and say, what's important is our sacred relatives they're going to be tearing down the trees up there, and there's 2 eagle nests up there, and I'm in the Eagle clan, so that's really upsetting. And as you probably know, Wendy has a sacred animal section in the show almost every day, and we talk about our relatives. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And it's like this, Robert and Wendy, what you do to it does to you, because they are a part of who we are. And so I think people need to fundamentally understand that they are our relatives. And so how we treat that is almost indicative of how we're treating ourselves. And it's a huge, significant message we're sending to the world. So we will have to continue to amplify that and make sure that we steward it and create more advocates to protect and nurture,
Yeah, definitely. And I just we got just a few seconds here. We're going to jump in another segment after these special announcements, these commercials that pay the bills. But one of the things it's really important, I guess, what I'm realizing that, all these older elders that really led the way are leaving us. And now it's up to us too to lead the way, as me specifically, as an older person, as an elder. So thank you for those kind words. And we'll come back with President Shannon Holsey and more of Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
Please stay with us. J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Navigating COVID while protecting yourself can be difficult. Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Well, we're really happy to have President Shannon Holsey, Stockbridge, Muncie Band of Mohican in Wisconsin. We're really excited to have you on. I know there's a lot of things going on all over the nation, and one of the things I'd like to ask you is, how is your nation dealing with this pandemic? And also, I know there's stuff going on in Wisconsin with voter, people trying to take away the votes of our BIPOC communities. And how is you and your nation dealing with those two things?
Well, we're, as anything, we're resilient and adaptable like every other Indigenous community. And I think our response to COVID-19 was something that we were prepared for, because historically we've always dealt with endemics. We've also always dealt with challenges from smallpox to first contact to other things, where we didn't have the type of immune system to fight things that were foreign to us in terms of our immune systems. But it speaks indicatively of who we are as Indigenous people and how we responded. Indigenous communities they followed the science. They did what they needed to do to stay safe. And I'm happy to report for the first time in several years, we have 0 cases, but we're still enlisting and encouraging people to be respectful and to do everything necessary to not only keep themselves safe, but others. And then we encourage to enlist people to be vaccinated, of course, because we feel that is, besides the other daily activities, that is one of the most safe things you can do, not only for yourselves, but for your communities, and especially for my community, who is extremely vulnerable, with our elders. So, and then of course, children under the age of 5 who are not able to be vaccinated yet. So it's critically important.
Wow. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, we talk about this on Monday. We have Dr. Stately on. He's from the Native American Community Clinic in Minneapolis. And, we talk about how getting vaccinated and boosted, not only for yourself, but for the people around you who are more vulnerable. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. And it's been a hard 2 years for Native communities. I know we've been really good at being vaccinated, but we've also lost a lot of elders and a lot of history and a lot of language. So,
and we're still working on trying to get people vaccinated who are really have their, the heels into the ground, and they're just not going to do it no matter what. So that's a real hard one.
Right. Definitely.
It sure is, Wendy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So also too, voter, voter, what word am I looking for, Wendy?
Voter
suppression. They're trying to decertify the election. There was a special committee that was appointed by Speaker Voss to decertify the last election. And I was actually a person that, as an Indigenous person, and there are so very few of us that got to cast an electoral vote in the past election. And it, can you imagine? I mean, historically in the state of Wisconsin, there are very few Native American people that have actually had the opportunity to do that, and so for somebody to suggest that it needs to be certified because, they didn't like the outcome is just an erosion of our democracy, in my humble opinion.
Well, and we usually lead off with the news, but our news person is
out on maternity leave.
Yeah. But one of the things I want to bring up is that Fox is still being sued, and the courts in New York said it's okay still to be sued for $2.7 billion of talking bad about the voting machines. So that's exciting. I feel like I'm talking like a kindergartner today, but Wendy, help me. What the heck? Voter suppression.
You got it.
Woo. So, Yeah, so we got to stay vigilant, and I know we have a program that we kick off here in another month or two. Besides Native Roots Radio, is called Rock the Vote Native Style, and I know the last cycle we helped get 9,000 Native Americans up in the deep north registered for the first time, and so we're really going to push on that. And we always talk about if you're not at the table, you might be the thing
on the menu, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, on the menu, right?
Absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that we have people like you and Wendy out there doing that, because especially we have deep pockets of Indigenous people, large, densely populated cities throughout the Midwest region, whether it be in the Twin Cities or Milwaukee or Chicago or Detroit, that there's significant populations. And we too worked very closely with different nonpartisan agencies to get people to register to vote, to understand the significance around voting, to educate them on why it's so critical, to your point, to decide who represents you. And when it's more broad and diverse, the outcome is much better.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that we talk about too is the follow through. Once we do support our elected officials, is to follow through and stay on them and go, hey, you came up here in Indian land and now you're, okaying pipelines. That's not good. So to put their feet back on the fire is a good thing every 4 years or every 2 years.
Yeah.
So we got a few more minutes here, and I know we kind of want to talk about not only the importance of voting, but the reauthorization of the VAWA. Do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, the VAWA, or VAWA, is Violence Against Women's Act, has not been reauthorized, Wendy and Robert, since 2013. And really what it is it's to reaffirm our tribal inherent sovereignty. It's also to make sure that there's an implementation of special domestic violence jurisdiction against non-natives, which currently doesn't exist. And then obviously to reaffirm jurisdiction to charges of perpetrators of violent crimes. And that includes violence against children, sexual assault, sexual trafficking, or assault on tribal law enforcement. And currently too, in the reauthorization, which, knock wood, where we've pushed really hard for this, we're hoping that included in that is an establishment for an Alaskan pilot project, which will allow for special tribal jurisdiction. And the reason that's so significant is because Alaskan tribes don't have reservations. So there's an issue of jurisdiction. So that's critically really important. And so we've been pushing for this for a long, long time. So think about this, since 2013. It's sort of like that thing where, with the Freedom of Religion Act, like when people don't even realize that Indigenous communities didn't have that protection until 1978. So there's these things that as sovereign nations, we have a responsibility to enlist our trustee and make sure that we bring protections to our tribal communities, especially our women and our children.
Yeah, definitely. And, we've had guests on, and I've heard this, and Wendy, I have heard this many times, that we've had guests on, and one of them I remember said he was brought to a powwow and he was a white ally, and the person said to him, look at, all these beautiful dancers, and now 1 out of 3 of these dancers, these women dancers, and even our Two-Spirit and our young boys too, but he specifically was saying 1 out of 3 of these women will be abused in their lifetime.
Indeed.
And he was blown away.
Indeed, and it's cross-sectional, like you pointed out, Robert, and it's not just indicative of our women. It's also our BIPOC communities, our two-spirited communities, and men. And I don't think a lot of people realize that there is a significant number of men that go underreported too, and it intercedes with missing, murdered, and Indigenous people and sex trafficking. And you'll especially find that in more densely or urban populations. So it's critically important. And the caveat of all of this is the data and interpolling and interjurisdictional sharing of that data, so that people are aware that these people are missing, and to amplify and to bring awareness around that. Because Indigenous people or people of color are typically very invisible and forgotten. And that's why it's so critical that we push this forward. And then to your point, Wendy and Robert, we make people accountable, and we work with our trustees through DOJ, HHS, and other law enforcement agencies, and even judicial people as it relates to criminal jurisdiction and the imposing of sentencing on these people to make sure that we bring safety to our tribal communities.
Wow, couldn't say it any better, right, Wendy?
Yeah, it's really important. It's a very important subject, and it is always the BIPOC women who go under the radar, and the news outlets aren't sharing their stories on social media and on the news. It's just always the white women who get all the media attention, and it's really it's another thing that's really sickening.
Like we say, it's not that they're less important, but give us some publicity too, because remember that last young lady that was killed by her boyfriend, fiance. I mean, she was on 14 days in a row of national news.
It's very sad what happened to her. It's heartbreaking, but it happens every day with the BIPOC community, and nobody hears anything about it.
Absolutely. Well, Shannon, I really appreciate you stopping in and speaking your truth. It really means a lot to us, and it's really great to be able to have some people from Wisconsin on the show too. And it's somebody like with your stature, I really appreciate you speaking your truth and talking on here. And again, I'm having trouble to talk, Wendy. So hopefully that'll be better. But I really appreciate having you on today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me and making sure you bring these critical, issues to the forefront and enlisting everybody, because it's everybody's business, and we need everybody to join us in these really challenging, situations we have within our tribal communities. We are all related. We're good. We're all community centric, and we really want a better world for everyone. So thank you so much for all you do to amplify the important issues that really, as Indigenous communities, we face daily.
Wow, perfect. President Shannon, Holsey, Stockbridge, Muncie, Band of Mohicans. We'll be right back.
Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Aho, relatives. My name is George McCauley, Omaha Nation. I'm a citizen of the Omaha Nation in Nebraska, but reside in the Twin Cities area. As we head into wintertime, many of us will be back together indoors. It's important to make sure you receive your COVID booster shot. Those 65 and over are recommended to receive their booster dose. Older Americans are more at risk for complications for COVID-19. So get your booster shot to make sure you stay safe and healthy this winter. All 3 COVID vaccine boosters have been approved. Find a vaccine site by calling 651-304-9986 or go to this website, vaccineconnector.mn.gov. 651-304-9986 or go to vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Children's Minnesota raises up children's health by raising the standards, hands, voices, the bar, the stakes, the questions, and the curtain on raising kids' health to the highest priority. With the most pediatric experts in the upper Midwest, we're setting the stage because kids need us, all of us. So let's raise them up so every kid can reach their best health. Children's Minnesota, the kid experts.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hello, it's Randy Rhodes. Team Randy, glad to be a part of the lineup of Progressive Voices on AM 950. Tune in, join us weeknights at 10.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies overnight with a low around 3, Thursday sunny with a high near 24, and Friday partly cloudy with a high around 16. A1 Vacuum in Roseville sells high-quality vacuums that last and can even repair your current vacuum. So if yours isn't working at its best, don't just throw it out, bring it to A1 Vacuum. Call 651-222-6316 or visit a-1vacuum.com. That's a-1vacuum.com.
Bijou. I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, before we get to with Bob Blake with Solar Bear and the Solar News, it's just that was Anna, Ogama's daughter,
8 years old,
and
yeah.
now she has a new daughter, and it's day 2.
Yeah.
And she's checked in and said everything's going well.
Yep.
And her significant other is doing a great job.
Husband, yep. Uh-huh.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
I was trying to be like a millennial.
Oh, yeah, they always say partner.
Oh, yeah, they do.
My partner.
Is doing really great as a new father.
Yes.
So that's exciting news to hear.
Very exciting.
Hey, it's Bob Blake from Red. Oh, it's Bob Blake from Red Lake. Welcome, and with the Solar News with the Solar Bear. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Well, I mean, like, congratulations to Ogama and her partner on the new baby. That's exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, we'll be getting her working on Native Roots Radio as soon as she can start speaking. We'll be having her on the radio, just like Anna.
Yeah. That's gonna be awesome, Robert. Hey, Robert. So I got a couple of really good stories and a couple of, well, maybe not so good stories, but the first story is actually a good one. And wind and solar accounted for 13% of U.S. energy last year in 2021.
Whoa.
So 13%. Yeah. So 13% of the energy mix that comes from solar. So like we're talking nuclear, we're talking coal, we're talking, natural gas, 13% of that what came from wind and solar. So that's been the highest that the United States has ever recorded from renewables.
Yeah, that seems pretty high. That's awesome. We're in the right direction.
And another really good story to come off of that, or into another one here, is Virginia. The state of Virginia are taking abandoned coal mines, right, and turning them into solar farms. And basically, Robert, what they have there is they already have like the infrastructure because, they ran energy down into the coal mines, so the miners could see and, they kind of have the infrastructure there. It's already there to have these solar farms and it's producing energy in these abandoned coal mines.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Wow. That's great. That's good thinking.
And I think what we're seeing is like, just people getting creative, right? Around like, so there was always this talk of like, we're never going to be able to transition to renewables. We're never going to be able to do what we have to do because it's impossible. But there's so many of these stories out there where regular Americans are like just, taking what they have around them and working with it and turning it into, the next transition, right? Which is renewable energy. And so it's really exciting.
Yeah, I wonder what they could build over the pipelines.
Yeah. Good one, Wendy.
Right. And so this is kind of a bad story, Robert. But Florida has passed a net metering law, which is basically going to go against people putting solar on top of their homes. Okay. So,
And you
so
can't say the word gay either.
yeah,
Florida is crazy.
that Governor DeSantis is really like trying to do whatever he can to exile like Florida from doing whatever's progressive in the United States right now, it seems like.
I thought you were going to say Florida from the United States, but yeah, being for he's trying, but he's him and Trump, and I told you I'd never say that name again, but they're the front runners of the Republican Party for the next presidential.
Oh my gosh!
So he's stocking in all this obscure, crazy crap.
Yeah, and so I mean, apparently, like he is now attacking the solar industry in Florida now. So this is like not good news, right? Because what happens is a lot of these utilities will take a look at what's working in one state and they'll sit there and say, well, they set precedents down there. We could probably get it done here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we just have to follow the roadmap.
They throw those bills out like those animal bills that we used to deal with all the time, and now it's critical thinking bills. They throw it against the wall, and then they get some traction, and hopefully the next voting cycle they get more votes, and then next thing you know, we're not doing well.
Sounds to me like he may be getting lots and lots of money for his campaigning from a certain company. And that's why he doesn't want solar, because the solar companies aren't giving him that money.
Yeah, like Alice is saying on our Facebook feed, Florida GP wants to go back to the worst of the 19th century. Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm reading that right now. Alice, you are currently correct. You are correct. Hey, so here's a good story happening, everyone. Pacific Gas and Electric and General Motors are doing a pilot of electric vehicles to power homes in Northern California. So what they're doing, Robert, is they're allowing the batteries from these electric vehicles to be able to transfer power around, a certain area, right? We could call it a microgrid, we could call it a community, we could call it a neighborhood, and they're using it as like, how to, if say like the community center needs power so that we could watch the kids games tonight, right? We'll transfer the power over there. And what this does is it takes a lot of stress off the grid itself. And we all know that in California, they're having problems with fires.
Right.
And these power lines are creating these fires. So what Pacific Gas and Electric is doing is they're trying to get creative with figuring out a way to also keep on the lights for their customers, right? So this is really interesting, but I think this has bigger implications because as we start transitioning to electric vehicles, Robert, we're basically going to be able to have our power source in our home vehicle, and that's really going to be powering our homes in the future.
Wow, that's amazing. And I always wondered why, and I'm not an engineer, why the turning of the wheels couldn't regenerate and recharge the batteries in the car.
While the car is driving, you mean?
Yeah.
To regenerate the battery so the battery doesn't go dead.
Yeah, with the wheels turning as its own alternator. I don't know these things.
So I have like a hybrid electric vehicle, right? And
I
have a button that I push when I drive, and it basically charges the battery while I'm driving.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So it really comes in handy like when I'm driving long distances because I get 70 miles per gallon. You know what I mean on my vehicle. So
It's a SUV too, because we both went to Iowa during the when I was working for you on the radio show.
That's when I was the key grip, remember? Or was I, Robert, was I best boy or key grip? I forget what you called me.
I think key grip, but I think you were both. And then you started singing that song, that one song about packing up stuff, and you were reminiscing your days working with Prince, and it was a great trip.
Yeah, that was awesome. So hey, I just want to talk real quickly, finish it up with Joe Biden's he was talking a lot about electric vehicles. He was talking a lot about jobs and everything like that. Well, the White House came out this week and they have plans to accelerate zero emission trucks, Robert. So this means like the trucks that haul our goods and services, and also the trucks that are like doing the heavy work, in our daily lives. You know what I mean? So they're gonna accelerate like research, R&D, research and development, and also investment into this area because they realize that that's a big area of greenhouse gas emissions. So I think this is great news, and I'm all for it. And with gas prices hovering around $6 a gallon or whatever it is going to be here, I think this is wonderful news.
Absolutely. I think the quicker the better, and it's spot on, Wendy.
It definitely is. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, hey, we got a couple minutes. Bob, could you talk just a little bit about your nonprofit and what you do now that we have a little time?
Yeah. So I have a nonprofit called Native Son Community Power Development. It looks like we're going to be having our first powwow, everyone, April 15th, in collaboration with Anoka and Hennepin County, or Hennepin school districts. So we'll be advertising that, but this will be a Native Son Community Power Development, happening powwow. So really excited about that. Working with the planning on that, and we're also doing a lot of work. We're going to be starting the electric vehicle charging network pilot. Finally, it got pushed back because of Department of Energy had a lot of other projects that were going on. And Solar Bear is in talks to do a lot more projects this year, so I'm really excited. And it seems like things are going in a good direction. I believe I'm going to be in the Twin City Business Journal. I think, is it this month or next month? I think it's coming up. So they did an article on me with Solar Bear, and they'll be having that come out. So pretty excited about that too.
And as always, you give us a big shout out in every article you're in, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. This is where we got our start, Robert. I have no idea how all this happened.
Yeah, we'll have to look back, but I think Jay Selby's had something to do with it, didn't it, Wendy? Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for stopping in as usual, and as always, great information, and keep up doing the great work that you do. And keep on amplifying the next generation of energy for us, the clean way.
And that's the solar news with the Solar Bear.
All right. Hey, wow, that was awesome, Wendy.
That is awesome. That's great.
Bob's
really.
Great.
I know.
Always a positive show. Even the negative stuff sounded positive about Florida.
I don't get Florida. Well, that's what I think. He's getting paid off by the oil companies, and they're giving him big bucks for his campaign, and the solar energy people aren't. So what does he want to do?
Well, it goes in the same thing. Lefties want solar, Republicans want nuclear, and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah,
we'll be right back with our sacred animal section.
Yeah, stay with us. Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
The Senior Linkage Line is a free statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging in partnership with Trellis. I have volunteered with seniors nearly 15 years, working alongside their compassionate team. I am honored to partner with Trellis as we help our elders find housing, compare costs of Medicare prescriptions, and learn how to avoid fraud and scams targeting seniors. We help our elders optimize well-being as they age, and we can help you too. Reach out today at trellisconnects.org.
Stay healthy this winter by protecting yourself, your family, and your community from COVID-19. Get a vaccine or booster. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free, and approved for everyone over the age of 5. Wear a mask outdoors in crowds and indoor settings, and lay low or get tested before visiting family and friends or attending events. To get more tips, schedule your vaccine, or get tested, visit ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine. That's ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. How?
All right. When you send me to the good home, you promised a good one, by the way, not a crappy.
You won't know if it's a good one or not.
Well, it better be a good one. I will howl when I end up going
okay. Appreciate that, Robert.
On the door, walking through the door. All right. Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and she talks about our sacred animals, which are our relatives, almost on a daily basis. And you've been doing it for 5 years. So again, Peony Gigi, let us have it.
It is my pleasure to do it too. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And as everybody knows, I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. So as always, Curtis, thank you. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I am a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. I don't know how I came across this article, though, but, years ago in the 90s, the late 90s, I was volunteering at a...
that wasn't that long ago, was it?
It was a long time ago, yeah.
It was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, right.
What?
I was in New Jersey, and I was volunteering at the Bergen County Animal Shelter in Bergen County. And I would see all kinds of things concerning animals. One of the things was that during Halloween, a few days before, probably like a week before, maybe even more, I would say a month before, the whole month of October, we would not be allowed to adopt out any black cats because people would do bad things to them, right? And we would have volunteers sleeping over at the shelter because we would get broken in and they would steal the black cats.
My God.
Yeah. And also there was another incident there where I'll never forget this. And I've talked about this on the show before, where a woman came in, and I can't remember what the cat looked like or what color the cat was, but she surrendered her cat. And we always asked what the reason was.
Right.
They don't use the kitty box, they scratch, they bite, they pee in the house. Ooh. No, the reason why she relinquished her cat was because she decorated her house and the cat didn't match anymore. Could you believe that?
Well, our dogs don't match with anything.
But anyway, I came across this article, and I remember that, way back then, that dogs and cats that were black, had black fur, weren't adopted out as fast as other colored animals. And it's a thing. It's a really true thing. So I did a little research and I found a couple of articles. I found this one article from Tree Hugger, and that's what it's called. Why are black pets less likely to be adopted? And it really is a thing. And this is written by Laura Moss. It's a couple of years old, but it still rings through. When I'm reading it, I'm like, yeah, this is what happened. There are numerous myths about black cats and dogs. Black cats are bad luck. Black dogs are omens of death. Such rumors rooted in folklore and ancient mythology, but there's one story you've likely heard about black cats and black dogs that is true. And this is the truth. They are the last to be adopted and the first to be euthanized. And that's,
wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? In addition to the stigmas of bad luck and witchcraft, black animals also face a tough time being adopted because their dark coats often lead to poor photos. Could you believe that? That is another reason why people don't adopt black dogs and cats, because they don't take good pictures, good photos.
Wait a minute.
All right. So for those of you watching us on Facebook Live, here's a picture of a beautiful little dog who's black and is getting somewhat gray around her schnoz and her ears. This is our Wanda. This is our little Wanda.
Dog. Where's her cape?
Wanda's 12 years old. She's a little black Shih Tzu. She spent 1 year of her life in a puppy mill, and she was rescued early on. But she's a little black dog. And
she knows when the radio show starts. She comes in here.
I know, as soon as we walk in
here,
here, or I'll say, "Oh, we'll get in the studio," and she's
even been in here before me.
Yep, I know. So the adoption challenges that black pets face are so pervasive. There's even a name for the phenomenon. It's called black dog syndrome. Despite its name, black dog syndrome doesn't just affect canines. A 2012 study published in Anthrozoos found that dark-colored cats are also more likely to be stereotyped as aloof. Researchers at the University of California asked a group of cat lovers to rate black, multicolored, and orange cats on personality traits such as friendliness, laziness, and stubbornness. The findings revealed that black cats were seen as more antisocial than cats with other fur colors. Overall, orange cats were perceived as the friendliest. So it's just a perception that you have. Stanley Coren, a psychology professor at the University of British Columbia, conducted a similar study with dogs in 2011. He presented participants with photos of 3 Labrador retrievers of different colors, black, brown, and yellow. People consistently rated the black dog as being less attractive, less friendly, and less likely to make a good pet. The black lab was also deemed to be the most aggressive of the dogs. So this is what people think about black dogs, and it's really kind of sad that happens. Yeah. But there's a list of the top 10 reasons to adopt a black dog.
Oh, let's hear them.
So the first one
this is almost like Fun Friday.
Right. So number 10, we'll go from 10 to first. 10, black dogs are easy to find in the snow. Yeah. They absorb heat, so they're perfect for cuddling on cold winter days. Black dogs make you look thin. That should get a laugh. Don't you have a laugh? They're awesome at evening games of hide and seek. Black dogs never look dirty. It's true, because we have a white dog and a black dog, and Wanda, you never can tell whether she's dirty or not until you
smell
wash her.
Wait for it. You can smell her.
Black dogs will go with all of your outfits. Yeah, there you go. They look presentable on any formal occasion. Black hair is invisible on your black winter coat. Black is timeless and never goes out of style. They are just as loyal, sweet, and loving as all the others. If considering adoption, give them a chance because they are often overlooked. So when you're at the shelter and you go in to look for a cat or a dog and you see the black dogs and cats there, they usually have like little cards that say a little bit about the animal. I know at our, the shelters that I used to volunteer at always said like how long the pet was there. I guarantee you, if you go and you look at the dogs and the cats that are black, that they were there the longest, and that they're the less adoptable and the more euthanized animal in the shelter. So do them a favor and go adopt a black dog or cat.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Keep them in mind.
Exactly. Great comments here too.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yes, Wanda is beautiful.
Great
She
comments
really
from
is.
YouTube and Facebook
Yeah.
Live. We really appreciate you guys keeping us going here. Sometimes it's just like we're talking into a microphone and each other, and until we get out of the house, we don't realize people listen to the show, and we always run. So thank you so much. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance from Chief Plentycoops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltire. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated and boosted.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster